Our next session is on future of work, preparing your business for the gig economy. With the automation and emerging talent models like the gig economy transforming the nature of work and the workplace, HR professionals will need to be ready for challenges posed by this. Deep dive into technologies that are enabling HR professionals to tap into contingent talent and address gaps in their talent strategies. And to present this session, we have with us Prakash Rao, Vice President and Business Head, HCM PeopleStrong. He's the delivery lead for shared services, HR shared services, and recruitment shared services, vertical. He also manages some of the top customers in the BFSI, education, and pharma sectors. Thank you so much for being with us, Prakash, and I hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Ruby. Pleasure to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll just quickly share my screen and then we'll get started. Hi. So what we're here to discuss today is what is the future of work? How is it going to impact the area of life, our area of work, and what does HR people need to do specifically to prepare for this, and how do we ensure that we're prepared, and how are we going to take on the gig economy is what we're here to discuss, right? So just want to start off by sharing a couple of statistics with you, right? So the first one is that 46% of the jobs, will either partially change or completely fade away by 2021, as per a McKinsey report, right? This doesn't mean that 46% of the jobs that exist today will go away and there'll be more unemployment. There'll be different other kinds of jobs that will get created in the market, right? That's number one. The second statistic is that 40% of employees will not have, their contracts will be very different. So currently there is a very traditional way in which how we interact with people, right? The kind of contracts we have where we all join organizations as permanent employees. So 40% of the workforce will all have non-traditional employment contracts with people, which basically means they're going to be gig economy workers, right? And this is going to happen over the next 1.5, 2 years is what most of the report talk about. So let's try to understand what is this gig economy and how is it impacting the future of work for us. Okay, so now there are 6 different ways we feel that the future of work is going to get impacted. Area number 1 is that it's going to be a much more visible world, right? So today, if you see the way the entire social platform, the way Internet of Things has evolved over the last 8 to 10 years, communicating with people has increased. There's new modes of expression. People are moving away from traditional way of interacting with people to more of a conversational view. So how can HR also move away from being transactional to conversational is number 1. Number 2 is that people and machines will work together in the new visible world where it's not just going to be machines which are working, it's also people working on those machines to make a better world tomorrow, right? And then people will be training these machines. The machines are not going to learn on their own, while artificial intelligence will of course too, but there'll be a lot of people training them as well. So that means a lot of collaboration will increase as well. So while the world is going to become more visible, it will also bring in its own share of issues related to privacy, which we will have to see how we address that, right? The second is everything is going to be about one amplified individual. Today, the world is moving towards an area where a person, an individual, will be at the core of everything. While the creation is going to be collective, because when we move to gig economy and we have gig workers, the creation part will happen together in a collaboration mode. But at the end of the day, the individual would be at the core. So the recognition would be an individual recognition. So this means that, you will have a lot of ad hoc resources and infrastructures. People will participate in crowd intelligence. You're going to have a lot of people gathering together to run one project where you might just share some information and ideas and just do that, right? That's how it's going to change. So the third one is diversity. Diversity not in its traditional sense, diversity from, not just from political correctness, but also to innovation as well. Where how do we ensure that we are addressing a complex problems with knowledge? How are we ensuring that we're being more inclusive in the way we work? This would mean that we have a lot of global teams working on innovation models. This would mean that group intelligence takes precedence over individual intelligence, right? The third area we see is science at work. Now, science at work is the first area that will impact the gig economy because of artificial intelligence and natural language processing. Neuroscience will become an imperative. So the neural network is how the world is going to move forwards. So we've already seen that in the areas of recruitment, but we feel that science at work is going to move from data to design to HR, and this is one area of impact that you can expect over in the next immediate future of 6 to 8 months. The next one is sustainable enterprise, because as the world is moving towards moving fast in this world of while we are progressing and we're growing, building a sustainable enterprise will be at the center of everything. So we have to ensure that sustainability is at the core. We have to ensure that companies support sustainable workforce. CSR will become a recruitment strategy. There'll be better measurement tools of how do we make sustainability visible across the entire world, right? So while we have the knowledge, sustainability will be about how do we take the appropriate action at the right time. Finally, we feel that health is going to replace some of the workplace values, because while we're becoming more social, while we have a lot of automation, while we have technology, we have artificial intelligence, the human being at the center, at the core, will become important. Will ensure that there is a lot of best practices that people will share as health becomes more visible. Personal health ecologies, economies will come out. Health will be a value and asset. There is a time and day when people might just get hired basis their health as an asset, right? So these are the 6 areas we feel that the future of work is getting impacted. Now, if these are the 6 areas that work is getting impacted, let's see what does it do to HR technology? How does this new world of workforce meet the new face of HR? So I'll just talk about a few areas in which we feel it's going to get impacted. Number one is paper resumes. Everything's going to be digital. So if we're going to have a digital footprint, we're going to have a digital CV. We might not need to have resumes that we need to share with people. Number two, today, if you see, when you go for an interview, when in the recruitment process, there is multiple rounds of interviews after interviews for which we need to visit the prospective employer multiple times. All of this will move away to a digital assessment. This digital assessment could be in the form of a video, could be in the form of any assessment that you're taking online. But these assessments will be good enough for people to ensure that they know that you're the right person for them. The third one is that we have a lot of HR portals. People have HRMS that they've invested in. So all the employees need to log into these HR portals, and they are doing a lot of work, whatever HR related work on these HR portals. All of this is going to move to a mobile app. It's going to be how do we bring the entire HR on a person's mobile. Then attendance, physical punching. So today, most organizations have a biometric integration, or they have a card reader through which they're reading attendance. All of this is going to move away to geofencing. Just the way when you walk into a mall, Google recognizes that you're at the mall and asks you for feedback. The moment you enable location services on your phone, organizations will recognize that you're there in their premises and mark you as present on that day. Then today, there's a lot of Excel linking and macro-based work that happens. All of this will move to right-time data. How do we ensure the data is available to everyone at the right time? Then people will move away from emails. Email is one area of collaboration which we feel will die away in the real, in the real future, where all of this is going to move to conversations. There's just the way we are more attuned to, and we are more happier talking to our colleagues on Facebook, on WhatsApp. Such collaboration platforms will be introduced in the areas of work as well. That's going to kill emails, and people are going to have conversations rather than write mails to each other. Then today coming back to the area of recruitment, today there's a recruiter who looks at the job description, who looks at a candidate and tries to identify the right match. All of this will move towards digital matchmaking. We're already seeing a lot of organizations who are doing work in this direction already. Help desk. Now, whatever queries that employees have, these are going to move towards smart chatbots. You will have chatbots which are going back and forth and giving information to employees rather than a person behind it. So what is that? Does this, is that monthly paycheck? So today we all get message at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month, depending on the organization you're working for. That message becomes very important, right? We all live for that message one way or another. That's going to move away. We're going to have hourly pay, which is how the gig economy is going to get started. Then HR business partners are going to be experienced evangelists. What this means is that if an employee is at the core of everything, an HR business partner is trying to ensure that the person's experience with the organization is the appropriate one. Because imagine an employee who's working with you throughout the month. Tomorrow, if he just works with you for 15 to 20 hours in a month, but in that 15 to 20 hours, how does the person experience the specific organization? That's going to become a key. So HR will play the role of experienced evangelists rather than play the role of HR business partners, which has been how HR has been functioning over the last decade or so, right? So so what this means is that we're going to take artificial intelligence and machine intelligence and combine that with social intelligence. That's the way HR work is going to get impacted, right? So we spoke of how future of work is looking like. We spoke of how HR is going to get impacted with this future of work. Now let's look at if this is where HR needs to move, and this is where the work is moving, where are we today as HR professionals? So this is where we feel there's a big mismatch in terms of what HR wants and what the user wants. Because one of the key principles of design thinking is that to have the user at the center. And if the user is your employee, it's important to understand what your user is expecting in the future. So if, now decision makers, let's look at three kind of stakeholders. And one are the decision makers, the executive layer. They're looking for intelligence decision making, but what we burden them with is a lot of reporting and dashboards, which doesn't give them any kind of intelligence to make any kind of key decisions at the right time. Even if somebody is doing it, they're doing it at a time when when the time to take the decision has already passed. Second are process owners. These are business people who are who have a core job to do. Their expectation from HR is that give me an integrated configurable system, which is easy to use, on the go, which I can get done on my own. But what we dump them with is distributed systems and workflows where they need to log into one system for one specific thing. They need to log into somewhere else for performance, somewhere else for attendance, something else for payroll. So these systems which are distributed and they have their own workflows makes life of a HR person or a business manager also very difficult. And the third most important stakeholder in all of this is an employee. Employee wants a system which is do-it-yourself, which he can use on his own, which is easy to use. It doesn't have to remember a lot of IDs and passwords, and where he can get any of his HR work done in maximum 2 or 3 clicks. But what we dump them with is systems which are driven by compliance. Because in India, there are almost close to 15 to 16 central laws, and there are close to around 30 state laws. So with these complex laws which the government has created, HR systems get bogged down a lot by compliance. And what they tend to do is that they tend to move towards having a system which is not user-friendly. So how can we be compliant and still ensure that we have an easy-to-use system is one where we see this very clear mismatch. Now, let me just give you some more numbers. Right? There's 34 billion US marketplace, in HR. Out of this, 33% of the companies have done 10 plus HR systems, right? So if you are an HR in any of these 33% organizations, you would have 10 different systems that you're logging into. This could be for your leave, for your attendance, for your payroll, for your performance, for your learning, for your letters, any kind of HR work, you're logging into multiple systems, and you're required to understand multiple systems to be able to get something done. 47% of the organizations have decade-old systems. They have systems which they've taken almost, before 2008, and these systems are more compliance-driven than experience-driven. And while compliance was managed when they implemented the system, now it's come to a state where doing any kind of change, doing any kind of new law that gets implemented, making that change is becoming tough for these companies as well. Only 16% of the organizations are focusing on how do we simplify things for our employees, how do we put the user at the center. So this is a big area where while there is an expectation that we're going to have user at the center and we're going to move towards gig economy, but the reality is only 16% of the organizations have an HR system where they're moving towards this, right? So now, like I said, while HR tech should impact employee experience and move us towards gig economy, the problem is that the user has not been kept at the center while designing these HR systems. What HR teams get stuck in is the typical problem of customization versus configuration. Because we feel we have a very unique HR policy and HR workflow and a lot of compliances. We demand a lot of customization from the HR technology partner. While we're doing all of these customizations, the biggest problem is the user is not kept at the center. And because of which, it becomes difficult for an employee to adopt to this system. So you might have a great HR technology that you bought with spending crores of rupees, and you spend another more crores of rupees in customizing it to the way and the shape that you wanted it. But if your employees don't get onto that system, then that system is of no use. So how do you move away from customization towards configuration, where we've seen that 90% of most of the organization's HR policies are very similar in nature. There'll be 10% that you need to contextualize for your business. Do the configuration, keep the user at the center so that your employees are able to adopt this. The reason why I'm talking about this adoption, customization, configuration a lot is because when you move towards gig economy, you will not have the time and space to be able to spend a lot of time with your employees to tell them about your HR system. These employees are going to be spending lesser and lesser time at your workplace. Some of them will always be virtual as well. In that day and age, it's important to have an HR system which is intuitive, which has ease of use, and which puts them at the center and gives them all the HR processes in a do-it-yourself model, right? So this is the basic change which we need to do. So what I'm going to talk about now in the last segment is what is it that PeopleStrong has done and what is that we're trying to do in these areas to ensure that we're preparing our HR teams for the coming future, right? So the first one is, now we looked at two sets of employees while we started doing this, in the area of recruitment, candidate, and the hiring manager. Then in the complete employee life cycle, we can look at the employee and HR, right? So what is it the user want? We went and asked users, what is it that you want that will enable you to be ready for the future? In the area of recruitment, the candidate and the line manager said, I want the right job fit. If I have a job description, can I get the right person? The candidate said, can you remove selection bias? There's a lot of selection bias that plays in India. There's a gender bias. There could be a religion bias. There is a region bias. There's a language bias, right? So how can we remove all of these biases? And second, what we realized is the line managers are saying, I need a candidate, and there is a candidate who needs a job. How can we remove everybody in between and empower us to reach out to that person and to get him on board is what hiring managers wanted. Okay, so we went and then asked employees and HRs, what do you want? They had three very distinct things to say. Number one, they said, please remove disintegrated systems. Excuse me, there are a lot of disintegrated systems that we're working with. How do I have one integrated system which gives me everything in one place? Second, they said, there's a lot of complex design and usability. Can we simplify this to ensure that I'm getting things done in maximum 2 or 3 clicks, right? HR team said, how can you please also manage my data privacy? Well, while I'm moving to cloud and I'm moving to a new UX, I'm making simplifying things for my employee. I want to ensure that my data is protected as well. I want to ensure that I'm compliant to some of the laws as well. So this is what the employer and HR teams wanted. With this in mind, what we did was we put the user at the center, and this is what we came up with. Number one, ease of access. How do you create a system where employees log in and it looks pretty much like how you have an Outlook? Can I get all my tasks at one place so I get easy access to all the tasks, which is in terms of approvals, in terms of declarations, which I need to do? Number two, can I get something like, from a recruitment perspective, can I get a JD to CV match as a line manager? if I have a job description, can a system tell me, okay, this is your job description. These are the top 10 people who match the job description that you've given, which is the matchmaking ability. Third, can I have an easy to access card-based UI, which gives me all the information at one go, all relevant information. I only am burdened with details if I want it, right? Rather than systems these days where you're burdened with so many details in the system, it becomes very busy screen and you're not able to get a good view. So can I get a UI which is easy, where I just get minimal information, important information? If I need more details, I should be able to go down to it. And finally, intuitive dashboards. Can I get dashboards which allow me to take decisions at the right time? Plus they're more intuitive. And as and when I start using and asking the system for more dashboards, can the system learn and throw those dashboards back to me, right? And then people also, we also looked at how do we ensure that recruiters are also earning rewards. So you also get gamification in the area of recruitment and HRMS as well, so that employees and HR teams are also enjoying what they're doing. I'm going to just take a minute now and talk about the matchmaking a little bit in depth as well. So we looked at the complete area of matchmaking, where what it does is first you fill up all the job details, and once the job details are all filled up, the recruiters get easy access to auto match candidates. The moment they click on auto match candidates, it shows them information from three areas. One, it shows them information from job boards, be it your Naukri, be it your Monster, be it your Shine, pulls up information from there. Second, you might have a lot of people who are already available, who are working in your organization or who are available in your company data, and they might be better fits. It'll show your own company data. Third, it'll pull up social profiles. It'll pull up passive candidates who are not actively looking for a job and tell you who are the top fits from there as well. So this is how the matching is done. It also gives you a percentage match. So like you see on the screen, there's a 42% match, there's a 36% match to a specific job. So the higher the match, the better it becomes. So the matchmaking is powered by three areas. Number one, historical data, which is your organization specific data in terms of what kind of people have you hired in the past, what kind of people are performing for you currently. Second, qualifications that you need so that it's able to search from the CVs and give it to you. Third, social profiling, where it goes back and looks at the social profiles of people, be it LinkedIn and any other social profile they're available in, and comes and gives you, a fit, right? That's in terms of the recruitment area. Second is in terms of ease of access. How do we create ease of access where employees, when they log in, they're able to see, for example, like a profile completion. What's my profile completion currently? Second, can I get information easily, like upcoming holidays, birthdays, right? Can I get awkward announcements and key events available to me on the screen? Only a short snippet, I'll get into the details if I need to. And finally, can I get easy access to tasks which I need to perform on a daily basis, either as a line manager or as an HR manager? This is in terms of ease of access, right? And to top of all of this, whatever tasks I need to perform, which are more relevant to me on a daily basis, which are leave approvals, attendance approvals, salary approvals, reimbursement approvals, can I get all of this on a mobile app, which I can access anytime, anywhere, right? So then finally, we said, how do we, now if we built all of this, how do we get people to connect and collaborate? So we thought of an enterprise collaboration platform, which is Alt Messenger, which works basically like a enterprise WhatsApp. The best thing about this is completely secure. If you're having WhatsApp groups in which you're chatting, if the employee leaves, if the admin doesn't remove that employee, then the person gets all the details of the chat, which is happening later on as well. In this, the moment a person leaves, the person is taken out of the group, and you don't have to worry about any kind of data getting leaked. Second is, you can have individual conversations, and you can have group chats. You can create your own groups in the enterprise, and you can have discussions. The best about this is we also have built a chatbot called Genie. So Genie is an artificial intelligence chatbot which gives you information on the go. So what it does, for example, I've got some examples here of how HR can move from transactional to conversational. You're on your leave balance, it gives you on the go. What are my upcoming holidays? Here are your upcoming holidays. Okay, I'm hungry. It gives you nearby places you can eat, nearby places where I can visit if I'm coming to a city for the first time. Things like this enables employees to go on an HR platform, and people will enjoy getting into an HR platform because they feel that this is more in tune to the platforms they used to, like Facebook or a WhatsApp, right? And then, of course, you want to chat with any of your employees. You want to chat with, you want to start a group and have a discussion. All of that is completely available to you on the platform directly. Finally, what we did was we realized that HR can't solve all the problems for them. We need to ensure that we're building a platform where a lot of people can come together and give an employee what he wants. For example, if an employee wants some health benefits, if you just have tie-ups with just gyms, an employee might want to learn yoga, or somebody wants to go a naturopath way. So what we did was we tied up with a lot of people, a lot of partners, and we brought all of those partners in the area of culture, engagement, health and wellness, productivity, recruitment and onboarding into one specific place, which is India's first HR app store called Alt1. What Alt1 does is any organization which signs up on Alt1, they get access to multiple partners here in the area of health and wellness, productivity, if you want performance modules like Synergita, if you want survey models like Hyphen, specific modules in recruitment and onboarding, travel modules like Yatra. So you get access to all of this at one go, where employees don't have to log into multiple systems. Through their HR system, they'll be able to do all of their activities at one go. And even some very interesting partners like Dr. Insta, where you get access 24 hours to a qualified MBBS, so you can get first response in terms of any kind of medical issue you have upfront there on the availability of a call, right? So this is one way an integrated HR technology can bring the entire social world to one platform to an employee so that he feels his HR team is taking care of him or her, right? So this is the way we're trying to get closer to gig economy. This is the way PeopleStrong is trying to get closer to the future of work, right? So this is what I wanted to share with all of you. Thank you so much for spending your time and going through this. Now I'm going to open the forum for any questions that you would have.
Ruby, you are on mute.
I'm really sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Prakash. We have received many questions, but as we have we've actually run out of time. So what we'll do is we'll request everyone to proceed towards the networking zone. That's where we can take these questions live. And Prakash, please do proceed towards the networking zone as well, because I can almost see around 15, 20 questions that have already come. So let's take these up in the networking zone.
Sure.
Right? Thank you so much, Prakash, for your time. Wonderful session, lot to learn for all of us. And I'm sure there are more questions that will come in the networking zone. So let's proceed. But before we do that, I would like to share the secret code for this session, which is #GigEcon. That's GIGECON 13. That's numeric 13. And request all our viewers to please visit our partner and exhibitor booths, chat with them, take quizzes, and strengthen your position at the leaderboard. You have many opportunities to earn extra brownie points. We have tomorrow as well. The next session will begin in 15 more minutes, and it would be on digital transformation cannot succeed without people and HR. So thanks once again, Prakash, for being with us here. It was absolutely a pleasure. Thank you so much, and we look forward to the next session. So let's proceed towards the networking zone. I'll see you there. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.